Welcome to Political Football. I'm Dave, joined here by Clev and Scott. Here we're on the Matty Ice Media Network. We're going to review the Week 1 games, but first I need to find out how my co-hosts are doing. Clev, how are you?
I'm good. What I want you and Scott to do for me is at the 1 minute mark, give me 3 timeouts before I start a rant. I'm not going to use any of them, and I'm going to attempt a 64-yard field goal.
No. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the rant away from you and your high ranting skills, and we're going to turn it over to me to hit the bench press. And that's how we're going to try to. I'm going to bench 350. I'm going to have a new personal best with all the pressure on. That's how we're going to go about fixing this. Scott, how are you?
I'm 350. Seriously?
64 yards. What is the difference?
Well,
a 5% chance of making it,
which is a whole lot more than you benching 350. No offense. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean and insensitive, but that's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of yards.
That's a lot. Yeah. So I guess
I
we can
benched
get into this, but
350. I benched 380.
Wasn't there I don't think the field goal has been made over 57 yards in that stadium in how many years?
No, it's been forever. And I don't know that they've ever made one that long. The guy we're talking, for the listeners who don't know, we're going in reverse order, referencing the game last night, the very end of the last game, where the Broncos decided, instead of letting Russell Wilson convert a 4th and 5 to try to go to win the game, they ran the clock down to kick a 64-yard field goal in Seattle. Spoiler, it didn't work. Denver lost the game.
For us geriatrics, because I don't remember the other games. I remember last night's game. It's perfect.
Well, that's what I'm here for. But Nathaniel Hackett making poor decisions can get us where we want to start, and we are going to get into the reviews. I have 2 things I want to start with. The first is I did not tell him we were going to do this, but we have the passing of Queen Elizabeth and Cleve. I didn't know if you had any thoughts one way or another on the passing of the Queen here.
So. And it's going to take you and Scott out of the equation, because I don't want to bring you down with this sinking ship that I'm gonna say. I'm gonna harpoon it. When anyone passes, it's sad, but coming from a country that was a part of the British Empire and does not have a great history with that, I can care less, because that monarchy has benefited off of the backs of slavery of my ancestors from the country that I hail from, British Guyana. It's now called Guyana, because we got independence in 1964. But prior to the 200 years plus before that, the monarchy used it as pretty much a pocketbook or a coin purse, because they just took minerals from the place, gave them back just enough to run the country, and that was kind of it. So for those of you listening that, and again, I'm not going to sway your opinion either way, but the Queen and the monarchy hasn't been great for all the colonies and things of that nature. And you can go back and go through the bloody history of all the wars and all the plundering and, brokering of deals or whatever to take Ireland or whatever. It's just a whole bunch of shit. So, I'm sad it's someone's grandmother, someone's mother. I get it, but I'm like, I don't really have a dog in the fight, other than my parents grew up under the monarchy. Of course I didn't, and it wasn't a good thing. So that's my take on it, brothers.
No, that's sort of what I didn't know, but I had a feeling that's where you were going to go, and that's why I wanted to bring that up. This whole situation has brought out just some of the worst poorly thought out takes all the way around, and I was like, man, if only I knew somebody who was from one of these impacted countries. Oh, wait, never mind. We sure do. Now, on the other hand, Scott, I know you're a huge monarchist. You're just a huge fan of hereditary claims and power. So I know you're probably really sad right now. I'll give you the floor just in case.
What the hell are you talking about? I don't. So I'm just going to defer to what Cleve said, because I think that's. I mean, at some point in time, we're going to get into this whole thing. I am as privileged as you could be, being a white guy in the I just am. So, understanding that I don't have an understanding of things is really important at times. Like, it's good to know the things you don't know. So, I know the history or some of the history of what's going on, and it's not good. I mean, just look at how the Irish reacted. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, like
no shocker there.
And then you go into the wormhole there and you start looking at the pictures of all the Irish dudes who keep their hands in their pockets when they're meeting the royals. Cause it's like, it's the old saying that you can't trust an Irishman with his hands in his pockets. And it's like, I mean, like there's just so much. So Cleve, that was good. I'm with you. I don't think just because things are the way they have been, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I mean, do we think it's just because she's been a queen for a long time? Does that mean that she's been a force for good? No. I mean, you're right. It's sad when somebody dies, but people die all the time.
True.
People lose grandmothers and moms and dads and all the time. I don't know why I'm going on about this, but just like the TV coverage to me is baffling that they.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Nuts, bro.
I think, as I was sitting here thinking about it, I think that she's been a force for stability, which sort of comes with the longevity and just like really not picking a side on anything really ever. And she sort of represents the status quo of things. And so for people for whom in nations from the status quo of things are not good, that, she represents that. For people for whom the status quo is excellent, she can represent that. She can just represent the status quo in general. And major media especially is always going to favor the status quo over anything else. I mean, I don't think there'd be a functional difference in the world if the monarchy ended tomorrow, right? Like, I don't think it would make a difference one way or another. However, I do understand Cleve's point, especially about when like you get powerful people, there's corruption involved. Not necessarily, even if she wasn't necessarily, you could tell in and around her and the way the nations have been used over history. So I have another corruption story to bring up here. Now, I asked Cleve before the show if he had heard this. This is breaking news. He had not. So if the listeners don't know, here's the story. I'm just going to read the headline and the lead. Here you go, Cleve. Former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant helped Brett Favre secure welfare funding for Southern Miss Volleyball Stadium, text reveal. Never before seen text messages show former Governor Phil Bryant tried to shepherd a proposal to use welfare funds on the construction of a new volleyball stadium for retired NFL player Brett Favre, a project prosecutors have called a scheme to defraud the government. Bryant has previously denied any involvement with the project, which has emerged as the centerpiece of a massive criminal scandal in which prominent officials misspent or stole $77 million in welfare funds intended for the nation's poorest residents.
Scumbag shit, bro. He could have funded that himself or got some of his rich friends to do that, bro. And text messages, like, are you fucking nuts? Like, you guys were texting that? Come on, man.
What did the text messages say?
So I didn't print off everything. This story, this story came to my attention 30 minutes before we started the show. But there were basically, to summarize them without quoting them, they're between the former governor and Brett Favre, the person in charge of these funds, the governor had to fire them for corruption. And then the text, Brett Favre's like, hey, I don't know why you got rid of that guy. Are we going to be able to keep my project going? And the governor's like, oh, yeah, it's just going to take a little bit. I talked to the new person, make sure they're on board. That's basically the gist of the text messages back and forth. To quote the great Stringer Bell, are you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? Because I think that's what they were doing.
So this is Southern Mississippi?
Yeah, where he went to school, and apparently his daughter was a volleyball player at the time.
So his daughter's a volleyball player, and he wanted a new stadium for the volleyball team.
Yes.
Wow.
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
That you couldn't fund that? You couldn't out of your own pocket, or sell cookies. I don't know. What do you do when you're a millionaire?
Or copper fit stuff for old people?
Yeah, throw more footballs at dogs and copper fit commercials.
I mean, I think what makes it bad. It's bad on its optics, but it's like you're defrauding people that need it. Like,
yeah,
that's the fucked up part of that whole thing.
$77 million from the welfare fund in Mississippi.
Man, that might as well be like $1 billion, bro.
Well, the other thing too is that we know who the poorest citizens in Mississippi are by and large, and we know what Phil Bryant and Brett Favre look like. I don't think they cared that they were ripping this money off from the people who needed it most. I don't think they care that much for the people that needed it most. And I think they probably just viewed like that was their slush fund to do what they want with. So
it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
boy, this is starting off great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, we have the Queen died. Brett Favre is allegedly a scumbag, so millions of dollars in welfare funds. And then we have another atrocity, which is the Rams playing football. Bills 31, Rams 10. Don't worry, Scott. I'll help you remember what happened in the games. A couple notes here. Josh Allen is very good. 21 of 26, 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. 10 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. Cleve, what do you think about Josh Allen's stat line right there?
He balled out, bro. He balled out. You know what? Like, I went back to like in my head of like all the shots I took at him, and you and Matt were like, "What are you nuts? This guy's all right." And I'm like, I'm watching them play, and I'm like, they're beating up the world champs like this. Like,
Yeah,
they came in like with something like, "Hey, take notes, kicking some asses tonight."
I actually thought about going back to those episodes and like pulling some clips
Don't do it.
and then putting them in like right here. But I didn't, so don't worry. In the final edit, I'm not going to put them in post. But you admitted that they're there. Yeah, that was the start of the 2020 season.
Yeah,
his breakout year, and you were not quite on board yet. Scott, Stephon Diggs, 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 13 catches, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Why doesn't anybody cover them?
I'm sure they're trying. It's just very difficult. Josh Allen, I referred to him in the draft process as a Civil War cannon. I really did. It's not a good look for me because it doesn't look good. But I mean, everything he threw. I was at the Senior Bowl. So I saw this live. He comes out. It's the first day of practice, and he's throwing. The receivers aren't even being covered. He's just throwing short slants, like 7-yard slants to receivers. And he throws, he throws one, next one he throws, and it's an absolute missile. But it goes over my head. I'm standing behind the back of the end zone along the fence line. It's like 5 to 7 yards behind the back of the end zone. So he airmails this pass probably a good 5 yards over the receiver's head, but it's just a rocket. And it's like, how do you miss that bad? And I never thought he could get the accuracy dialed in. I mean, he was huge and he could move incredibly athletic. I never thought that he would turn up the accuracy. And to his credit, he really has. He's an incredible quarterback.
Yes. So basically, he almost Marshall Brady'd you.
Yeah, and so he's a little bit like he's like the black swan kind of quarterbacks. No, we shouldn't be comparing inaccurate quarterbacks to Josh Allen because they're going to come into the NFL and suddenly become accurate play. It's not how it works.
Yes.
He is the one guy that I can think of who's gotten markedly better as a passer. To your question about the receivers, those guys, they run routes. It's just dirty how they run routes.
Route gods.
They are. I mean, Diggs' footwork is incredible. Kupp is too, and it's not like they're small guys. They're big guys. They're tough to cover. They're both super elusive and athletic with the ball in their hands. I don't know. Teams are going to have to really figure out a way to stop Cooper Kupp. Diggs is going to be his own problems because if you're limiting Diggs, there's other players on that team that can hurt you.
Yes.
It just seems like with the Rams right now, it's Kupp. I mean, think about if Kupp doesn't have that huge monster stat line, what do the Rams look like? Yeah,
they lost by 21 with it there. And I try not to overreact to week 1. I try to overreact at first and then see if it makes sense. And Cleve, I think the Rams might actually be in trouble. What do you think?
I think so too. I think Stafford's is his elbow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might be a little acting up or inflamed. So, but it doesn't excuse the offensive line letting Von Miller run roughshod. Like he had a gun on him coming through the line.
He looked awesome, didn't he?
Yeah,
he
was he was there.
He's like 35 and it's just he looks like, as good a pass rusher as there is. I mean, it's not a bad thing if you're a Lions fan. It's cool that, that's a great question, Jacob, because week one, we don't know how good the Bills defense is. We don't know. I mean, it'll play itself out. So we'll have an understanding, but are the Bills are they that good? And are the Rams then, a middling team with at times probably above average play from the quarterback position, but the Rams looked rough and the offensive line's bad. I mean, you think they're on the phone with Andrew Whitworth? Right? Like, I mean, wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I mean, they have to do something. That line is not it's not good enough. It's almost like they flipped with the Bengals from last year. So I mean, there's a chance the Bills actually are that good, and we'll be looking back at the end of the year and be like, oh yeah, sure, everybody loses by 21 to the Bills.
Yeah.
It's not not the worst thing in the world. The Bills are one of the few teams that I thought came out and looked like how we expect them to look. Another team that did that though, Saints 27, Falcons 26. The Falcons did exactly what we thought, Cleve. They blew a 16-point fourth quarter lead.
It's not the first time and it won't be the last.
Nope. They what's his face? The owner was down on the field. Ready to get his trophy.
I think that's the kiss of death when he comes out of the field.
What's his name? Home Depot guy?
Arthur Blank.
That's Arthur Blank. That's right. Arthur Blank. So I only have a couple notes on this game besides the fact the Falcons blew a 16-point fourth quarter lead. The first, Cleve, who led the Saints in rushing in this game?
Well, it wasn't Kamara. I didn't see the game, so I saw highlights because I was in class. But
yeah,
it wasn't Kamara, right?
It was not. Scott, do you know?
Jameis Winston?
No, it was Taysom Hill.
Oh, you're right. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. 4 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown. And just real quick, if you drafted Taysom Hill as at tight end eligible on Underdog and Best Ball, and he's going to be the leading rusher for the Saints, that was a good idea. I'm just saying it was a good idea. The other note I have on this game is Kyle Pitts had 2 catches for 19 yards, and the note I put down here in all caps was throw the ball to Kyle Pitts, you fucking morons.
You think?
I mean, we need to get a direct line to the sideline. Pick up that phone thing.
Yeah, a common theme that if for listeners who listened last year, you're going to know is that I believe that good teams get their best players the ball. They find a way to do it, and bad teams and bad offenses struggle to do that. Drake London had 5 catches, which is nice, but Kyle Pitts having 2 catches in the game. The Falcons should never win a game.
That's all game? That's all game?
2 catches for 19 yards, all game.
So the guys were out there running a track meet.
Yeah, just wind sprints.
Got his cardio pretty good, too. Like, he didn't look bad.
Yeah.
Daryl Patterson looked ridiculous in that game.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, you wonder, the Falcons offense, I mean, think about what that offense might look like if Calvin Ridley returns and just as a player, right? Like, I mean, I know the off the field with him is strange, but as a player, you've got Ridley, you've got Pitts, you've got Drake London, you have Ritter, who knows, but that's not a horrific offense. It's not as bad as it looked at times last year. And I think Pitts will get involved. It's just, there's going to be down games too.
I'm just not sure that Ridley's coming back. Rumor has it he put $100,000 on the Saints live line in the fourth quarter, so he might be set for life.
You're making that up.
Allegedly.
Yes. Rumor has it is. I just thought of that. I don't have too much more on this game. I mean, the Saints struggled, kind of put together a little bit. Michael Thomas scored a couple touchdowns on a couple catches. Olave looked fine. The Saints are a team where they should get better as the season goes along. Now, Cleve, on DraftKings, there were 2 Millionaire Maker tournaments. There was a $5 buy-in tournament and a $100 buy-in tournament. The team that won $1 million in the $100 buy-in tournament, what quarterback did they have on their team?
Oh, I didn't play DK this week, so
that's all right. Who do you think? Was it Patrick Mahomes? Was it Josh Allen? These huge numbers?
Was it Trey Lance?
It was nobody won money with Trey Lance this week. Let me tell you. It was Baker Mayfield. Somebody won $1 million with Baker Mayfield in a loss. Well, they had Robbie Anderson, so that helps.
There you go. There's your stack.
Yep. So Browns 26, Panthers 24. The Browns win on a last-second bomb of a field goal from rookie Cade York. It was a 58-yard field goal. It may have actually been good from 70 or 75. That football left. It like left the stratosphere. It's out there catch up to Voyager. That football was gone. Scott, did you have any initial thoughts on this Browns Panthers game?
McCaffrey's involvement was both suspicious and curious at the same time. It makes me wonder about Baker and what this offense is going to look like if you're not going to use McCaffrey, especially when he's healthy. I mean, I don't know how many touches he had or how many targets he had. I just know that he wasn't all that involved, and DJ Moore wasn't all that involved either. So maybe there's some positivity there with that offense because you didn't use McCaffrey, or at least he wasn't all that. I know he scored, but I don't know. He had less than 10 total touches, I think.
He had 10 carries and 4 catches, but he had another touch on a Baker fumble snap that he picked up and ran for 30 yards, which doesn't show up in the stat sheet.
Okay.
So I'd like to give him
probably their best offensive play all day. That one. Right
yes. There. Besides the bomb to Robbie Anderson out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's just, boy, I haven't been right on anything I've said so far. Get used to it.
Welcome to political football.
I don't know about McCaffrey. I mean, McCaffrey, you need to feed him. And, it's to me, it's suspicious that they didn't. Could be by design. I'm not sure. But I do wonder because, I know Chubb was used a lot with the Browns with Baker there, but, are we worried? If you're a fantasy owner with McCaffrey, are you a little worried right now about that offense?
I think it's good they lost the game because it forces them to go back and kind of look at stuff. If they had done this nonsense and squeaked out a win, it may not cause – because I don't think Matt Rule is that great of a coach. Cleve, I remember last year you were shocked Matt Rule didn't get fired last season. Yeah. Personally, I think Matt Rule is going to be the next coach at Nebraska. I don't know if you saw that, Cleve, but Nebraska fired their coach. Mm-hmm. They owe him $15 million. If they had waited till October 1st, they'd have only owed him $7.5 million.
That's how bad things work.
Yeah, that's how bad shit got. It's like you're stinking up the building, bro. You can't be here.
And that sort of decision maker is the type of person that'll hire Matt Rule. So I think Matt Rule's going to end up at Nebraska next year. Cleve Baker's your boy. Do you have any thoughts on his performance for this game?
I think he probably went in there super pumped up. Big, he's trying to not just beat the Browns, but just, show the league, show all the fans, show everyone who he is. Yeah. Because when he's on, like he was on that season before he hurt his shoulder, I think he wants us to remember him as that. Like he's getting close to bust territory. If it doesn't work out in Carolina, we're going to use that word with him at some point.
Yes. Although
didn't it take Carolina a little time to get rolling on offense too? Unless I have that wrong as well, which is at this point likely. But it seemed like they got it going in the second half.
Yeah. But
again, not utilizing McCaffrey much. And the other part is Ike Makwana looked all right. I mean, he didn't look great, but he's a rookie offensive tackle. He got beat here and there, but I think he's going to be a pretty good player.
Well, yeah, for his first game being matched with Myles Garrett, he did fine. Yep. That could have gone a lot worse. Okay, the next game here, This is a game that we should have a lot to say about, but because of the field conditions, I don't think there's too much to take away from this. We have the 49ers 10 at the Bears 19. Cleve, these were some of the most embarrassing field conditions from a pro stadium I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, it just goes to show you why they're going to have to – well, their plans to build a dome at some point, I think in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, anyone has played the game, coached the game, you know, watched the game in the rain, fun games, but it's hard to look good when the fields. I'm surprised no one was seriously hurt.
That's not true. That's not true. Eli Mitchell sprained MCL out for 2 months.
Oh shit! I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
come on, Cleve, get it together.
Yeah, something crazy. Okay. So I talked to you offline. You know, we're texting each other offline, whatever, about how Lance looked. Let's take away the monsoon that was on the field. Fields also played out there as well, and I'm actually convinced. I heard a take on one of the networks today, yesterday. I'm actually convinced that I forgot that the Niners could have took Fields.
Yeah, they traded up.
Yeah, and it makes me think that given the amount of football that or lack of football that Lance has played versus Fields probably more ready as he faced guys that are in the league now that he played against in college versus the amount of football. I forgot that Lance didn't play a lot of football in college, and then the stupidity of not playing him when you could see what happened when Jimmy G wasn't panning out. Like now this kid's got like a raw deal. He's got like that team is built to win now.
Yep.
And he is obviously like the crutch, so he has to get up to speed quickly. So I know that I'm clamoring that by week 5 he gets benched. I hope he gets it together. Be honest with you, I want to reverse my take. I hope he gets it together because I think it's unfair to him that he could have had a more experience in the NFL because college is already gone.
Yep.
That, you know, he has to get out there and learn what's going on. You know,
Scott, how many career dropbacks, college and pro, does Trey Lance have? Not pass attempts, but dropbacks because he can scramble.
So are we including shotgun in that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. How many pass plays have been called for him that he's on the field for?
200.
308.
Wow.
That's it. 308 dropbacks in college and pros to this point. So obviously very raw. Now Fields in this game, 8 of 17 to 121, 2 touchdowns and a pick. It's not like he was really lighting it up either. My question for you, Scott, is Trey Lance obviously did not look very good, but with the conditions of this game, is there anything to extrapolate from this, or is it just most people will look bad in weather like this?
I'm kind of throwing out some of the bad stuff. He made some very big throws in that game. There's a stat out there, throws, 20 plus yards down the field outside the numbers. And I want to say, I think he completed 5, I think, in that game. And I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo threw more than, I don't think he had 25 completions last year in the entire season.
Yeah.
On throws like that. So
yeah.
Everybody needs to just calm down when it comes to these young quarterbacks. I mean, there are moments when Trevor Lawrence looks horrible. There are moments when, Trevor Lawrence looks really good. Lance made a couple of throws in that game that were great throws. But, in the end, it's kind of a show me what you've done for me now kind of a deal. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take a little time. He's going to have huge games. He's going to look really good at times. He's going to look bad at times. That's just part of the process. But I think we all need to understand that the 49ers had run out the string with Garoppolo. They're not going any further with him. So there's this, people are screaming for them to bench Lance and go back to Garoppolo. It's like, but you're capped. You're not winning. That's the reason why you take a quarterback with a roster like that. Mm-hmm. So you can pay him on a rookie deal and maximize the window to win. And then judging him and looking at week 1 in that monsoon and all and that bad field, I'm not taking too much out of it, except he did make some throws that he's really not getting credit for. Now, having said that, he needs to improve. He needs to pick it up. He needs to step up his game. But
Yeah,
well,
and I think
we're gonna take away.
Yeah, I think that I think he's gonna be fine. There was only like 1 or 2 plays I saw. I was like, oh, that was a terrible decision. His footwork needs a lot of work, but again, so few dropbacks that can get that. But yeah, he made some huge throws in that game, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to do this coming week against a absolute garbage opponent that happened to win. Okay, so the next game here, to me, this was the craziest, best game of the week. Steelers 23, Bengals 20 in overtime. Cleve, here's how this game ended. Jamar Chase caught a touchdown on the goal line, clearly a touchdown. It's not ruled a touchdown. The Bengals race up to the line to try to catch the Steelers off guard and running a play. It doesn't work. It's too late to challenge it. It was clearly a touchdown. They then turn the ball over on downs. The Bengals get the ball back. This time they actually do throw a touchdown to Jamar Chase to tie the game at 20 with like no time left, kick the extra point, game is over. It's blocked. 2020. They get the ball in overtime, in sudden death scenario overtime, and then they miss a field goal, a short field goal to win the game. The laces were in. Mitch Trubisky gets the ball back, leads the Steelers down the field. They kick a field goal, like a 58-yarder, game over, Steelers win. So as a person that picked the Bengals win 15 games this year, what do you have to say? 15-1 the rest of the way.
Lose 2. That's okay. Yeah. We're good. We're still on track.
I mean, I was just looking at Macaulay Culkin on the sideline, sitting there with this puss on his face. He's just like, can't believe what's going on out there.
You talking about Zach Taylor?
No, I'm talking about
Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow. It looks like Macaulay Culkin. You don't see that? You know, that doesn't see that?
I don't see that, but that's okay.
Right. Yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
It's true.
Yeah, he looks like Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, it was. I'm watching the highlights. I'm watching what I can on my phone in class, and I'm like, "What is happening?" Like, I'm on the edge of my seat trying to learn about the injury continuum, and I'm like, "What the? This game not over yet?"
Well, Cleve, I have
4 picks, right?
And fumbled once.
And
yeah, he had a day.
And somehow still scored more fantasy points than Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
Because he threw it all the time too. This was an insane game. He turned the ball over 5 times and should have won like 3 different times. Yeah,
Didn't
absolutely.
Jamar Chase catch 3 touchdown passes in those last 2 drives?
Yeah, Cleve, one of them was like the sickest catch you've ever seen. For those of you not watching on YouTube, you're not going to be able to see this, but it was like the ball was coming like this. He like one-handed it by the side of his head right here. The second toe, a millimeter out of bounds, but clearly on the white. But I mean, like, if he wore a half size smaller shoe, it would be one of the sickest catches I've ever seen in my life.
I saw that on the highlights. I was like, wow, you know.
Yeah, just disgusting. So, Cleve, you were talking about the injury continuum. TJ Watt tore a pec in this game. They've announced he does not need surgery, so he'll only miss 6 weeks. So my question for you, as our trainer making you the closest thing to a doctor, is why is a torn pec such a devastating injury that it's 6 weeks or a year if you need surgery?
All right, and then Scott's coaching expertise will back this up. These guys have to rip, and using that muscle, the pec major, anchored by the pec minor. You have getting up under a guy to lift up a 200 or 300 pound offensive lineman, doing it all game. It's amazing that these guys don't get that all the time, but it's technique. It's gonna affect them. It could happen to anybody. It's a freak injury.
If a non-football player tore their pec, would it be as devastating of an injury? Like, would it impact our day-to-day life, or is it because they can't play football with it?
No, I mean, the ripping motion, obviously, we're not doing that but we are putting on a shirt. You got to lift your arm up.
Okay.
That's putting on a shirt. Imagine putting on a shirt with a 250-pound dude attached.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, when I put on shirts, there is a 250-pound dude attached, but I know what you mean.
I wasn't talking about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just always thought it was weird why that particular injury was so devastating. Scott, my question for you, no TJ Watt for 6 weeks. Is the Steelers defense just plainly average now without him, or bad, or can they sort of make do without him for a while?
You know, I mean, they're going to suffer. I mean, I think he's the one of, if not, the best pure pass rusher in the NFL. I don't know if any team can really overcome that kind of a loss for 6 weeks.
Yeah,
but it is. So the Tomlin's going to make his money. They're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to manufacture pressure, which will probably impact what they look like in their secondary because it'll take a little longer. I think they're going to give up more points. I mean, they already gave up, a bunch of big plays in that game. I think losing T. Higgins is a blow for the Bengals. It really is, because he's really good.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the Steelers are kind of what they are. I think they're a middle of the road team that's going to have to score points to stay in games without T.J. Watt, and you're relying on Trubisky to do that. The Najee Harris thing has been fishy for a month with his foot, and them sort of dismissing it like it was no big deal. And now it's reported he's got a high ankle sprain, and then a day later it's the X-ray came back negative, and it's like what? Huh?
Yeah, something is going on with him, and they are not saying what.
Reported that he had like a Lisfranc fracture.
Yeah.
Like 6 weeks ago, and he just kind of blew that off like no big deal.
Yeah, but and he played like
the same thing with this high ankle sprain, and it's like,
yeah,
I think the high ankle sprain is probably worse for football players than a pec tear. Just I mean, you can't move, you can't
cut it. Cutting. Forget about that, bro.
Yeah, I agree with the Najee Harris stuff. Like, he was weird. He wasn't practicing for weeks. Then they gave him like 15 touches the last preseason game against the Lions, and then he gets hurt. Like, he gets stepped on or something in this game, and he's got to come out of the game. And there is something weird going on there. But running backs are a dime a dozen. TJ Watt is not. He's a lot harder to replace. Now this week they don't have to worry about it because they have the trash ass Patriots coming to town. So. No offense there, but we'll get to them in a little bit. Next game here, we have what I thought was one of the most entertaining and most illustrative games about a team that I was really hoping to see. That is the Eagles 38 at the Lions 35. Cleve, you'll be happy to know that Jalen Hurts is good. 18 of 32, 243 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 17 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, no, Jalen Hurts is awesome. 4 different Eagles rushed for touchdowns, which is not the most grit performance from the Lions defense. Also, Cleve, how many yards and catches did Devontae Smith have in this game?
Let's say 60 yards, 7 catches.
Scott?
0 for 0.
That is correct. Devontae Smith goes 0 for 0 in a game where the Eagles score 38 points. A.J. Brown, on the other hand, 10 catches for 155 yards.
Wow.
So, I don't know if that's something to do with the Lions. That's just sort of how it shook out, or if this portends bad things for Devontae Smith going forward. But for the Eagles in general, Scott, this offense looked really good.
It did look good. I think there was a little bit of Jeff Okudah covering Devontae Smith. So if there's something to be, reasonably hopeful from a Lions defense, it just seemed like that's kind of how that shook out. A.J. Brown was a monster in that game.
Yes.
He just is. The Lions got more pressure than it seems like, watching the game and especially early in that game, seeing how close they got, and they just couldn't get Hurts to the ground. And then he would scramble for a bunch of yards. He's tough. I mean, I don't know it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts with him. Do you want to pressure him and take the risk that he's just going to scramble and torch you that way? Or do you kind of play contain and, let him just drop back and throw passes to A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert, who looked really good too?
Yep.
I don't know. Just that's a team that's built to both run the ball and can't throw it. And if a team decides it wants to attack him a certain way, I think they have enough to be able to beat just about anybody because he is so effective scrambling. Now, it's interesting because when he scrambles, it's not like he's throwing the ball. It's not like he's Patrick Mahomes where I'm scrambling to effectively extend it so I can throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
When he scrambles, he's gone.
Yeah,
but he's hard to get to the ground. It was a good performance by the Eagles. I don't think the game was nearly as close as that score indicates. Lions were down 17 at one point, I think.
I don't think it was that much. I don't think they were ever down by more than. I
thought it was 31-14 at a point.
Oh, maybe.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, but it was like 31-21 in the fourth quarter, something like that. I mean, it wasn't. Whatever. Ben really wants to talk about, quote, that onside kick.
It was early.
So, Scott, can you give us the context for this onside kick?
I think the Lions felt that they weren't going to stop the Eagles defense, and there really wasn't all that much to lose by trying to onside kick it. But the problem is that I think it's widely known at this point that the Lions will do these things. Mm-hmm. Dan Campbell will do these things, so teams are prepared for it. I don't have great context because I don't know exactly what the score was. I think this is the point where it might have been 24-14.
Okay.
In the game, and then they went out. I could be again, but they onside kicked, and Philly went down and scored, and it just seemed like, all right, that's going to end it. And then the Lions got back in the game. They stayed in it. They did some nice things on offense. They really did. The Lions' offensive line is legit. Mm-hmm. They did what they did in that game. They kind of ran the ball at will on Philly with Logan Stenberg playing right guard, grading out a whopping 0.0 for PFF.
Is that a real person?
Logan Stenberg? Yes. Yeah, he was drafted in he was like a third or fourth round pick by Bob Quinn in Bob Quinn's last draft. And he has just been he's just not been able to get on the field. He is one of those guys who is so overly aggressive that he really hasn't been able to function at the NFL level because he's too aggressive. And
the Kadarius Toney.
Oh boy.
Scott or Cleve, your boy DeAndre Swift from Hard Knocks, 15 carries, 144 yards and a touchdown, 3 catches for 31 yards. Alvin Kamara-esque.
Yeah, it was good. That was good.
And Jamal Williams vultured 2 touchdowns. So this could have been a monster day from DeAndre Swift.
I mean, to Scott's point, like I said, I saw highlights, but you see like you guys were competitive.
Yes.
The call I wasn't aware of, and we don't know what down and distance or when it happened in the game, but bad calls are bad calls. It doesn't matter when, but the Lions were competitive.
I think it was in the first half they went for an onside. I mean, it was. Yeah,
it's.
Dave, am I wrong?
It just seems like it was too obvious. Like it wasn't actually sneaky, and if it's not going to be sneaky, it has no chance to work.
Yes. Yeah. It seemed like it was. It was. I mean, it was set up to fail, but in the end, they lost by 3. They showed a willingness to hang in there. Their offense looked really good, and this is a scenario that we talked about earlier. It's week 1. The Eagles could be they could be just a monster this year. And that loss might not look that bad in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eagles could be that team where they're just going to roll through teams. We'll see. I mean, maybe they don't, and it looks like a bad loss. But
if only somebody here predicted the Eagles to the Super Bowl last week. I don't know who that could have been. The next game here, Cleve. Colts 20, Texans 20. End of overtime. So I just have a couple. I'm sorry. Lovie Smith is a coward who deserves to be fired immediately.
Why would you say that?
He should not be coaching an NFL team. Like, he's bad for football. He's bad for the Texans. He's bad for viewing. Last year we talked about this. Bad teams should never tie the game. There's no upside because you don't get a win. And the downside is it hurts your draft position because it counts as like half a win, right? Yeah. So if you're a bad team, win or lose, right? If you're on the playoff bubble, not losing can have some benefit to you. The Texans are not on the playoff bubble. There's no benefit to them to a tie whatsoever. It's the worst case scenario, win or lose, right? Those both have good aspects to them. Lovie Smith decides that he's going to punt on 4th and 5 from about the 50-yard line with 20 seconds to go in overtime to ensure the tie. Go for it.
Yes, please.
Go for it.
Yes.
Try to get the field goal range and try to kick a field goal. And if you don't make it and they get the ball and then they score and whatever, it doesn't matter. Losses are not the worst thing for you. You are the Houston Texans.
Do you think the Texans locker room right now is thrilled that they settled for a tie? Or do you think they would have said at least you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's a quick way to lose a room. They work so hard to get to the point where you can maybe kick a field goal to win a game, and he just didn't even give them that opportunity. It's nuts.
It's the participation trophy, and there was ice cream later for every fucking
That sounds good.
And again, the tie outcome is fine for the Colts. They could end up being on the playoff bubble, and not picking up a loss could work to their benefit. There's no benefit for the Texans.
Yeah.
There's none whatsoever. Also, aside from that decision, Dameon Pierce has this great preseason. He has, he's the highest graded running back to PFF in the preseason since like 2008, right? Crushes it. Clev, still in the league. What running back played 72% of snaps for the Houston Texans this week?
Was it Arian Foster?
No, but it should have been. It was Rex Burkhead.
Jack Easterby was falling.
He's still in the league?
Yes.
Still in the league.
Rex Burkhead got 72% of the snaps. He played early down work, third down work, which we expected. Rex Burkhead is like a slow Ezekiel Elliott. Why in the world are you giving him more carries and more playing time than Dameon Pierce?
Because of pass protection on third down and no other reason.
Yeah, but we knew he played third downs. I'm talking first and second down.
I have Jack Easterby. Clearly hijacking the signals to calling plays for Rex Burkhead. Davis Mills looked really good in that game.
It's a package.
I think Davis Mills is functionally decent.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to say he's good, but he is not terrible.
I will say it. He was for a third round pick. He way outperformed his draft position as a quarterback, which is a hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. He is a very smart dude. I think it's one of the things that he's really good at is understanding leverage and coverage and eliminating areas of the field where he will not throw and doing that very quickly, which makes him more efficient than, say, a guy who's willing to scan everywhere and just hang, and maybe take sacks, that kind of stuff.
No, Geno Smith.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, others, but yeah, it's Davis Mills looks good. Yes, he is third. I mean, that's fine. But if you're third round Jared Goff, that's okay.
Yeah.
Would we right now, if you're the Lions, do you want Davis Mills or Jared Goff? Davis Mills, please.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather take who's the youngest quarterback with the least upside right now starting in the NFL? Zach Wilson? I take Zach Wilson over Jared Goff. And by least upside, I mean like situationally what they've shown, right? Like,
I mean, for where the Lions are, they should take every young quarterback over Jared Goff.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I would take Matt Corral and his Liz Frank over Jared Goff. So,
okay.
We talked about this earlier. Good teams get their best players the ball. The Texans blew a 20-3 fourth quarter lead, and they don't give the ball to Dameon Pierce. They barely throw it to Nico Collins. Brandon Cooks, they get some good catches. The Colts, on the other hand, Jonathan Taylor, 31 carries, 161 yards and a touchdown, 4 catches for 14 yards, 35 touches. Michael Pittman Jr., 9 catches, 121 yards and a touchdown. They were like, you know what? Those are our guys, and we're going to get them the ball come hell or high water.
Yep, and the rookie from Cincinnati dropped a touchdown pass in the end zone.
He sure did.
So there's more there, and Matt Ryan might have he could have a reasonably good season, But yeah, Dave, you're right. Just get your guys touches and do it early and often. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just don't understand what is so difficult about knowing that you have to get your good players the ball. It does not seem like it should be that hard. Now, then you have the reverse situation. In the next game here, we have the Patriots 7 at the Dolphins 20, where the Patriots don't have any good players. So that can make it harder. The Patriots are trash, and they're going to be picking in the top 5. This is one of the most embarrassing, worst things I've ever seen. Matt Patricia out here calling plays is awful. Tua is 3-0 against the Patriots now as a starter, and Mac Jones picked up some sort of back injury. Scott, what in the world did you take away from this game?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, obviously Tyreek Hill looks good. Jalen Waddle looks good. Tua looked efficient. That offense looks very, very impressive without having. I mean, it's not like Tyreek went off. Jalen Waddle had the big, broken tackle, yard after catch touchdown. But it just seems Tua's good. I don't understand. I haven't understood the people just crushing him.
Ben says Tua did not look great in that win.
I thought he looked good. I won't use the great word because I don't know. I don't think he did look great, but I thought he looked fine. I don't think Tua's been a reason why they've won or lost games in the past.
What?
Yeah.
No, they mostly win when he's playing. It's when he's hurt that they lose the games.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a lot better than given credit for. And with their weapons now, to me, I think Tua looks good. I do.
Yeah, 23 of 33, 270 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. I mean, that's not looking bad.
Yeah, it's just he's not like a huge playmaking guy, right? Like it's that's just not his game.
Yeah,
but efficiency is.
I mean, you short your best receiver by 10 yards.
That ball got tipped.
Was it tipped?
Okay, that helps. I did not know that. Okay, that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first. I think that's the first pass he threw in that game.
Yeah.
And I think the ball got tipped, but still,
that was a TD.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And it's just a bad look because it just reinforces all those weird plays from the past where it's like, he's, I will say this: he has been good for a very bizarre, awful interception pretty much every game. Like it's, what are you doing? Who are you looking at when you're making that throw? But he didn't have that this week, and I like the idea of throwing short passes to Jalen Waddle and letting him run. He's not Mahomes, so it's not like he's going to be launching bombs to Tyreek Hill, but Hill had a good game. It's just
8 catches, 94 yards for Tyreek.
Yeah, and so it's capped to touch, right? It's not 8 catches for a $140 and a touchdown. It's just a touch capped. But if you're talking about winning games, I think you've got the right coach there. I think you have a good running game. I think, having a good offensive line helps. That'll help Tua as we go.
Cleve, who led the Patriots in receiving?
I have no clue. I don't even know who their receivers are.
It doesn't matter. Next game is Ravens 24 at the Jets 9.
Okay, moving on.
Trash ass team. I'm telling you, it feels so good if I'll be able to say it. Oh my God.
Who you telling, bro? Who
Man.
you telling?
Oh yeah, Packers are going to be on this list soon enough. Not this year, but it's coming for them too. It's going to be great. Ravens 24, Jets 9. Lamar is good. Pay this man his money like immediately.
Did you see what he turned down?
Yeah, he turned down not enough money.
Yeah, not enough guaranteed money.
Well,
Right.
guaranteed. I understand that, but it's like I wouldn't be on the field playing. I wouldn't be
It's
playing.
bizarre.
It is.
Yeah, I wouldn't be playing.
Yeah, or I would play this game and then like no call, no show to film review on Monday.
Is he? Do you think he's a player who might be available after the season?
I think we're wish casting. I think we just really want him to come to Detroit.
Oh, without a doubt.
There's no way they would let him walk out the building next year. They would fire some people first.
What if he tells him? What if he gets so mad they didn't sign him this year? Tells him, "Fuck off, I'm not resigning." It becomes a Dak situation. We'll franchise tag and whatever, and he goes, "Well, that's fine. I'm never."
If they tag him, they're gonna pay more. Because you got to pay him twice. What is it? Like a 2-time you could tag a guy?
Yes.
Twice. All right. So they tag him. What was that? 50, 40 mil, whatever.
Yeah. It's all guaranteed.
Yeah. So he could essentially get 90 to 100 million getting tagged twice, and then re-up, and then it's fuck you money time.
But does he strike you as the kind of guy that's just going to be willing to tolerate a team not committing to him?
I think the Browns fucked it up so bad for everybody that if that didn't happen, that deal would have been fine, right?
Yeah, but so I mean, I understand where Lamar's coming from. It did happen.
Yeah,
and he's like, listen, this is the new market, right? If you want to go shop at a different market and get, a trash ass flank steak, go ahead, cool. But
I love flank steak.
This is filet, brother.
I like filet more.
Yeah.
And unlike what Jake said earlier, I do not order my steaks well done. I can't have that on the internet. Medium rare, trending towards rare. Okay, like can't have people thinking like I'm out here well done with ketchup, like president going to prison here. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is fantastic. He barely ran in this game, and I think that's sort of by design. He won't run unless he absolutely has to now.
Yeah.
And
he's not going to run risking no contract. I'm not running. It's the fucking Jets.
Yeah. Only other note I have on this game, and Cleve, I don't mean to just blow by the Jets, but the Ravens receivers did, so I guess we can too. The Jets are terrible. The Jets are terrible. I'm not convinced they're worse than the Patriots.
Wow, really? I mean, but our coach didn't come out. I mean, their coach didn't come out and said we're taking receipts. I'm like, what fucking game were you just in? Like, are you nuts? Like, we're taking receipts. Everyone that whatever. I'm like, are you joking right now? Fucking 9 points.
Are we gonna see Mike White soon?
Oh yeah. I've been in some of the Jet forums. Like, it's gonna get ugly real quick because old man Flacco. I get it, like he's experienced, but his time is past.
Yeah,
get the young kid in.
Given some of the decisions the Jets have made over the years, I would not be shocked if the GM is on the forums. that would not shock me one way or another to find out that's the case. But they're not going to put out a White Mike this coming week because they're at Cleveland. So let Joe Flacco get destroyed by Myles Garrett. Then maybe we'll think about throwing White Mike into the game. Next game we have the Jaguars 22 at the Commanders 28. Cleve, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen scored the most fantasy points out of any quarterbacks this week. Who was third?
It couldn't have been Wentz.
It was Carson Wentz.
Wow.
27 of 4
passes.
Yeah, 27 of 41, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, of course.
Yeah.
313 and 4 though from Carson Wentz.
And he got them all involved too, right? So Dotson had 2, McLaurin had 1, Curtis Samuel had 1.
Yep. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Antonio Gibson had 7 catches out of the backfield.
They all got ice cream.
Yeah. You gotta stop talking about the ice cream. I'm going right to the ice cream shop and we're done.
I've already got DoorDash on the way, bringing me Ben and Jerry's from the 7-Eleven. Jahan Dotson, rookie wide receiver, 16th overall pick. Everybody forgot during rookie drafts. 3 catches, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. The second touchdown was a great catch too. Streaking down the sideline, pitch between the back corner of the end zone, falling down. Got it nice and clean. Jaguars did blow a late lead in this game. I meant to go back and look how big the lead was. Whatever. The point is they had a lead late in the game. They blew it. Scott, you're a draft guy. How come nobody told anybody that Travis Etienne can't catch the ball?
Well, so he stayed in his final year at Clemson, which was a very curious decision because he would have been a very early pick, running backs, right? So I think it'd have been an early second round pick had he come out after his junior season, but he stayed because he wanted to work on catching the ball and pass pro. And he did, and he looked very comfortable doing it as a senior. And then he missed last year. And it's just like his timing was a little off. He dropped a touchdown pass, right?
He fought the ball like
Yes.
like a child. Like he
Yes.
fought at it. Like
It's
we like
very
no, let the ball
unnatural.
come to you, catch it with your hands. He was like pushing it away. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall did. Remember, Brandon Marshall was at Denver. He was just like dropping passes, just like I don't want it. Wow.
Like
Yeah.
I would say Travis Etienne should use the jugs machine, but it might be dangerous for him. Like he needs to get like the Fisher Price little ball first. Start with that and work his way up to the jugs machine.
The Nerf with the wing on the back of it.
I don't know. That might move too fast. The sound might scare him because he's already jumpy enough. He dropped 2 touchdown passes in this game. Clean touchdowns.
That's not good.
No, and James Robinson looked really good. And this is going to be super interesting to see what Robinson looks like over the next month or so.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys remember when Cam Akers' his first game back from his Achilles, he looked pretty explosive. He looked good. And then it just seemed like it all went away. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens with Robinson, because there's a whole new Cleve, you could probably tell us the whole new recovery for the Achilles. It's different than it used to be. What they're doing surgically and how they're rehabbing and getting them ready to go.
So
it makes me wonder.
So from the surgical standpoint, I'm not too versed on that, but you guys know what those treadmills that the ones that you load no weight. There's no load bearing. So you're able to like run. So like that's been a part of like that new therapy, because again, the Achilles is such a funny thing because it rolls up into like your calf. So they got to stretch that. It's elastic basically. So you got to stretch that now. So it's getting better for guys to come back from that. But it's still like one of those quirky, weird injuries.
But still, he tore his Achilles on December 18th last year.
Yeah,
it scored 2 touchdowns on September 11th.
Yeah, well, see, so we remember like Adrian Peterson coming back the same year on an ACL, right? That happened. Some people are just better healers than others. Some people like that might just end someone's career.
So it just seems like what they're doing is they want the muscle, both the calf muscle and the quad muscle, to just kind of wither away and die. And then then you have the surgery, and then they want to rebuild the muscle, the quad muscle and the calf muscle, to work in conjunction with the new Achilles, as opposed to before when you just kind of put the new tendon in there and hoped. Yeah. So it just makes me wonder, like,
this is plantar flexion. This is dorsiflexion. So that's the Achilles is like that, right behind the ankle to do that. So obviously, when these guys have to jump cut or jump, like that's where you use a lot of force on the Achilles, because when you plantar flex or you dorsiflex. So as to Scott's point, strengthening the soleus or the gastrocnemius, which is the calves, and then under the calf, and then the quads, which are like the biggest muscles in your damn leg. So to me, I think what Dave just said about what he did, some people have healing, like they just heal better, and some people don't. That could be a genetics thing. I'm not a doctor, but obviously we've seen people come back from like a pec tear or a bicep tear in a couple of weeks, and then we've seen some people just like tear up their arm to the point where they can't come back for the year.
Okay. No, I just thought it was amazing that he was able to do all that, so soon after the injury. I drafted across 735 fantasy football teams 1 share of James Robinson, and it was an auto pick. Wow. Because I was like, there's no way.
Great pick.
Yeah, it was. I was like, there's no way that this guy's coming back and is going to be contributing this soon after an Achilles, at least not for the entire season. And now Travis Etienne can't catch, and apparently James Robinson is bionic. So not good for the bags. Also not good, Cliff Kingsbury. Chiefs 44, Cardinals 21. And my first thought on this game is that Cliff Kingsbury should just quit so he can get the Nebraska job before Matt Rule.
It's really not that coveted a job.
Well, it is when you've been fired from the Cardinals because you got fired from Texas Tech with Mahomes. Then you get fired from the Cardinals with Kyler Murray. You can't blame your quarterbacks.
Isn't he low key like at least coming into the season? I thought he was on the hot seat and would maybe be the first coach fired. Because I don't think the Cardinals would be very good. I just don't.
I can get behind that.
That would be great. That'd be a great bet to make. Because most people would have put like Rule or I don't know, McCarthy.
Yeah, is Frank Reich? Same thing. Like hot seat, man. Just you can't lose if you're that team.
Yeah,
they tied. I guess they didn't lose.
Yeah, but the difference is I think Frank Reich is demonstrably a good football coach, and I think Cliff Kingsbury, we're still waiting to see it. Cliff Kingsbury is like an idea of a good football coach, right? It's not actually. It's like here's a reference for you, Scott. It's like Cameron as a rapper. It's like much better as an idea than when he finally got in the booth and started spitting. It was awful, but like as an idea, it's like, oh yeah, this guy should be awesome.
Talking about.
Yeah, it's fine. I
know.
So, Cleve, Patrick Mahomes in this game, 30 of 39, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks.
What are you gonna do? It's why he's the top guy getting money. That's what they paid for.
Yes,
and this is without Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Yes, but I said in the AFC West preview that it's possible that the Chiefs' passing attack will be more efficient without Tyreek Hill, if less explosive, with the changes that they made. And it's clear that Juju is the number one wide receiver, not target, that's Kelsey, but number one wide receiver in this offense. He had 9 catches by like the early third quarter, and they were killing the Cardinals at this point. If this game was at all competitive, he could have had like 15 catches.
He is going to be a fantasy monster.
His stat line was ridiculous. And even better, I think, what is it? Like he's been in the league 5 years?
Yeah, something like that.
So like, yeah, his week 1 opening stats are ridiculous over the 5 years that he's been in the league. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, his September record. He's lost like 2 games in September. Always gets about to a big start. Travis Kelce, who turns 33 in October, 8 catches for 121 yards and 1 touchdown. Again, get the ball to your best players. Now, on the other hand, the Cardinals don't really have any best players. They have only Hollywood Brown right now. James Conner got like a touchdown, but it was a weird game for them because they were getting crushed from the start. But I think it's happened to them a lot. Scott, you can speak to this better than I can because I spend so much time focusing on the offenses. But watching this game, the Cardinals' defense looked like ass.
Yeah, and some of their early picks have just, they keep taking these linebackers, and they these like Isaiah. Did Isaiah Simmons look like anything in this game at all?
Burnt toast.
Like the Tulsa linebacker, and I liked him in the draft, but like, I don't know. Yeah, their defense looks bad. It's one of the reasons why I thought if Kyler didn't absolutely like Kyler Murray was on his way to becoming MVP last year through the first half of the season.
Yep.
And they still didn't. I mean, it's not like they weren't blowing teams away. Right. And he's going to need to play to that level for them to even hang. And if he doesn't, and I don't think he's going to because of the weapons. I mean, maybe you just get through to week 7 and you get Hopkins back and you pull it together. But I don't know. I don't know that they're going to get there. I don't know. I'm just not a believer in what they have going on. I just don't.
Cleve, who led the Cardinals in receptions and yards this week?
Receptions and yards. Was it Connor?
No, it was Greg Dortch.
Who the fuck's that?
Perfect.
Greg Dortch.
Moving on.
I never even heard of that guy.
That is exactly right. He was actually very good at Wake Forest, but he's like 4'11" and 95 pounds. But he was pretty good in the ACC a couple years back. So yeah, the Chiefs are good. The Cardinals are teetering on being bad. We will see. But this week, Arizona goes to Las Vegas. Who? The Raiders 19, the Chargers 24. Watching this game, I felt like the Raiders were the better team. But like they were never winning. But it felt like they were always moving the ball. They always had something going on. And my first note on this game is that Aaron Rodgers should give his MVPs to Davante Adams. Davante, 10 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown, Cleve.
Yeah, I mean, that is.
Did you guys see the route he ran where Samuel was just kind of like he put him into space?
Ran him off the screen.
Incredible. Yeah, incredible.
I think he was in the parking lot checking for peanut bags.
He ran like he was fleeing the battlefield, like Josh Allen was at Antietam firing off his cannons, and Asante Samuel Jr. just fleeing the other way as fast as he could, just deserting the whole army.
It's gonna be loud. It's gonna be hard. I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, this was a weird game. Otherwise, Keenan Allen hurt his hamstring early on in this game, and Mike Williams ended the game with 2 catches. DeAndre Carter came out of nowhere to get 6 catches. Scott, is this a case where Justin Herbert's just that good, where it doesn't matter who his receivers are, even if they were Greg Dortch, he could make them look good, or are they actually in some trouble if Keenan Allen has to miss time?
No, because they have Josh Palmer, and I think Palmer can step in and really help them. I know that sounds nuts because he didn't step in this week when Keenan Allen went out, but it's always better to have 2 outside guys and be able to move other. Like Mike Williams out of the slot would be very difficult to defend, and having Josh Palmer might give them that flexibility. I'm not totally sure, but I think that offense is good enough. You didn't really involve Eckler this week. You didn't need to.
He played 49% of snaps.
I know, but like he's, everybody was forecasting him to be, a bell cow. And
some people drafted him over Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I mean,
it couldn't be me. So Cleve, from this game, how to put this? Was this a okay loss for the Raiders? Did this make you think a lot higher of them, even though they lost the game, or was it just like you thought they would look good and they lost to a better team anyways?
No, I think what you said in the onset when you introduced the game, I think it was a weird game because they didn't look that bad. The Chargers didn't look that great, so it's week 1. We'll see.
Fair enough. Now, speaking of teams that did not look that great and could be secret garbage, the Packers 7 at the Vikings 23. Man. First things first, Justin Jefferson.
Love to see it.
It's happening. GIF. JJ2K. If he plays 17 games, he's getting 2,000 yards receiving regular season. 9 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. And honestly, if the game were close, he would have gotten more.
Why wasn't he circled on the whiteboard before they took the field? Like circled to make sure this guy doesn't get behind.
Because it doesn't matter. Because unlike Mike Zimmer, Kevin O'Connell understands you get your best player the ball and you keep getting him the ball. Right. Last year, I must have screamed "throw it to Jefferson" on 6 different episodes of the show.
Yeah, you did.
And no longer. It is absolutely happening. Justin Jefferson, Offensive Player of the Year. Again, barring injury, I'm already banking that money as long as he doesn't get hurt.
How many touchdown passes is Cousins going to throw this year?
They play 17 games. 50 is in range if they throw at the goal line. If they hand it to Delvin Cook at the goal line a lot, then he can't get up to 50. But if they do the Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams thing, where they want to get Jefferson 25, and they throw at the goal line a lot, 50 could be in play for Cousins because he's going to have a couple five touchdown games.
He is with O'Connell there. I just think that offense is just ready to roll.
They look like the Rams.
They did. And Jefferson is a very souped up version of Cooper Kupp.
Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, we might need it. We got to play them twice.
Did you see the Christian Watson drop?
Oh my goodness. So for the listeners who might not have seen this, early in the game, early, it's 7-0 Minnesota. Green Bay's got the ball on their own 25-yard line. Christian Watson, rookie wide receiver out of North Dakota State, who the Packers traded up for and took before Sky Moore, runs this beautiful sort of stop-and-go route, torches Patrick Peterson. I mean, just dusts him.
Yep.
He's got 5-6 yards clear. Rodgers puts this pass, I mean, directly in stride. I mean, he just had to run under it, just catch it, and just walks into the end zone. Another 30 yards down the field, and just, I mean, hilarious. It just like bounced off his hands and into the ground. If it happened in a video,
like he doesn't have fingers there.
It was like a video game glitch.
Yes.
Like, we need to make sure he drops this. I could not understand it. Cleve, what were your thoughts when you saw that?
I mean, it was a Jackie Smith moment when that call. He has to be the sickest man in America.
Yep.
It's one of those things where I think everything broke the way it was supposed to, and he just couldn't help himself. He was thinking faster than everything was happening. And we've all in life done it. If we played sports, you've like had a moment where your football moves get ready to happen, the ball's not even there yet. You're thinking, I'm gonna turn, I'm gonna juke two guys, whatever. I think the way it broke, it was perfect. And I mean, it's week one. I don't think that. Well, okay, let me back this up. As a receiver, your job is to catch the ball, right? So getting in sync with your quarterback. You've been working with him since what, July 5th, 25th or whatever camp opened. So by now, you guys kind of can feel each other out. I mean, Rodgers has been playing forever, but these guys are in a big spot. They're rookies. They're in a new offense for them, right? So I'm gonna cut them a little slack, but they're not really, because again, your job is to do like that doesn't happen every game, and who you beat. That would have been like a story for your grandkids.
Oh
yeah. Like, are you kidding me?
Like, if he had caught that ball and ran him for a touchdown, Peterson would have trailed behind him into the end zone and then just immediately been on the set of Fox NFL Sunday breaking down film. Like, he was just immediately retired.
It's over. That was one of Watson's issues coming out, is he had drops and lots of them in limited opportunities at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
So freak athlete. I mean, he tested like the way Calvin Johnson tested.
Damn.
So it shouldn't surprise us that he runs by a bit of a washed up Patrick Peterson, but still, it's Patrick Peterson.
Yeah, it's still the run by is still something with Patrick Peterson. Dude can still go.
Oh no, It's just. I mean, we should, knowing that he runs in the 4.3s, it shouldn't be a total stunner that he did that. But the drop is also not a total stunner because he had drops. He had issues with his hands coming into the NFL.
Yeah.
And then somebody put a message in the message there about Rodgers sending him to the phantom zone. And it's like, that is definitely a Rodgers thing. Rodgers will probably look at him wide open and not throw it to him for a little while. Because that's a Rodgers thing.
Christian Watson out here running practice off this General Zod throwing him passes.
I mean, I would just keep going at him. I'm like, you got to get better. We got to get this together.
He ended the game with like 4 catches or something. Like he did actually get the play, whatever. But still, because it's 7-0, like that would have been the answer. You're 7-7.
Yeah, that was pivotal. That was pivotal to them losing.
Yeah. And also, you know who else that deceptively hurt? It's Justin Jefferson. Because if he catches that, it goes to 7-7. The Vikings never really run away with it. Yep. Jefferson might have gotten up like 250 in this game if they had like been closer for longer. So just huge missed opportunity. Last note on this game, AJ Dillon had more targets than Aaron Jones, as well as carries inside the 5. We need to start thinking of AJ Dillon as the number 1 running back in Green Bay, and Aaron Jones is the 1B, not the other way around. Next game,
man.
Yes, it is. Next game here, we've got the Giants 21 at the Titans 20. I can't believe it. I have to say nice things about the New York Giants. I hate this. For so long, we've been clowning Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman, but Brian Daboll comes in. they score a touchdown to cut it 20-19 with about a minute to go, and they do the right thing and go for two. Lovie Smith probably had a heart attack when he found out about this. And they get it going to Saquon. Cleve, I'm sure you saw that Saquon had some great plays. Do you know his stat line by any chance?
No, I don't know the stat line.
18 carries, 164 yards, and a touchdown, 6 catches for 30 yards. Saquon is back.
He probably was wearing his Penn State jersey under his shit. So that was like his Penn State numbers.
Yeah, no, Saquon is legitimately Saquon. They opened a new best ball tournament starting this week on DraftKings, and Saquon went 102, first running back off the board with Jefferson Saquon as the first 2 picks, and I can't argue with it. Saquon is just firmly back.
He runs hard. Like, I don't know how to explain this because as a trainer, like, I know what I'm like thinking. Like the way he runs, I see why he gets injured. I see why he gets injured.
Violent. His lower body.
It's like Bo Jackson. Violent. Yeah.
He runs, and I'm like, I never noticed it until I watched. I'm like, holy shit, he's running. His ground contact is so hard. His strike off the ground. What I remember from this game was Derrick Henry getting lifted off the ground on that hit. Did you see that hit coming through the hole? I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that explains why on a 4th and 1, Tennessee ran in end around to Chigozie Okonkwo instead of giving the ball to Derrick Henry. And I know sometimes you have to like switch it up, but when you're going to do that on 4th and 1 with Derrick Henry, you switch up what type of running play, which direction you're going.
Yeah,
you don't do an end around to the 4th round rookie tight end out of Maryland or whatever when you have Derrick Henry. And the last note on this game, Scott, Kadarius Toney only played 7 snaps.
Yeah, it's not great. Even after Wan'Dale Robinson gets hurt, and you have a shell or a ghost of Kenny Galladay out there, it's just. Tony is incredibly talented.
He is.
He's going to ask for a trade. He's going to ask for a trade.
Yeah.
He's going to ask for a trade.
Baltimore one time.
If they can get it going, that's fine.
Yeah,
there's so much happen. There.
Before we go off the gate, I think as a backup, obviously, Danny Dimes is a great backup. I think he's very athletic as a quarterback. He's a very athletic quarterback. Like I know we took a lot of shots at him. He cannot control when he got drafted and all that kind of shit. But he's if he just works on the ball security a little bit, but he's like, when he ran, I was like, wow, this dude got some wheels. He's got some wheels, and he's got some balls too, because he'll lower the shoulder.
And he's got a good deep ball, as we saw with that long pass to Sterling Shepard. Like, he can unload it. I think it's time for the Giants to probably give up on Danny Dimes. I'm not so sure that he should be given up on. I can see him doing the Mariota thing where he goes somewhere
else, and
then bounces back again. The Trubisky sort of thing.
Who are we looking at for Josh Allen's transformation? A little bit.
What do you mean? To do the same thing Josh Allen did?
Yeah. Didn't Dable have a big part of that?
He did. He did.
Are we hopeful that he can maybe get Danny Dimes kind of figured out?
But I think we've seen that Dimes doesn't have the ceiling necessary for that, which is why he was so overdrafted in the first place.
Yeah. Dimes, the ball security is a big issue with Danny Dimes.
It is, but the talent is there. I mean, he's super athletic. He's got it. I mean, he's got plenty of arm strength. He's got it all. It's just there are issues in his game where, if you can get him coached up and in the right direction, maybe there's something there. I'm not saying there is. I think that was the reason maybe that Dable got the job.
Yeah, but I think that something is going from being a 77 on Madden to being an 87 on Madden, not to launch your way up there. And so the Giants, they need to go on to somebody else to try to find something that can be better. I mean, I agree with you though. I think Danny Dimes is better than we've seen because he's had. I mean, his coaches last year were Joe Judge and Jason Garrett.
Yeah. You got to give a guy. Yeah, you got to give a guy something for that.
Yeah, it's just no chance. No chance to be successful in that situation. Honestly, I'd rather have Adam Gase.
Oh boy. I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, that Mr.
That's bold.
Over Joe Judge?
I don't know if I'd want Adam Gase over anybody.
Is death an option? The fuck, man.
Isn't he coaching high school in Michigan? I think. I could be wrong there.
Oh, you mean you play him next week? You're gonna put 50 on him?
Nope. Nope. Not saying any of that.
Nope. That's right. I'll say it for you. Next game here: Buccaneers 19, Cowboys 3. First of all, a couple things. One, the Bucs ran really bad to kick all these field goals. This could have been 38-3. This game could have been way worse. Dak Prescott needs thumb surgery. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Jerry Jones thinks that he can be back in 4 weeks, but Jerry Jones thought it was a good idea to pay Zeke. So who cares what Jerry Jones thinks? But if he's out 6 weeks, I mean, the Cowboys are toast. They looked bad before Dak got hurt anyways.
Yeah.
But Cooper Rush coming in, they're done. Like they will finish third in this division if they are lucky in that case, right, Cleve?
The minute that he got x-rayed in that back room, the next guy should have turned around with a cell phone in his ear. Like, get me anybody available. Get me Jimmy G. Well, technically Jimmy G would be not a good option because you got to pay him a lot. But maybe Cam. I don't know.
So I think Jimmy G would be a great option there.
The 49ers would never do it.
No, they would never do it. And for a 4-game rental, or I'm sorry, 6-game rental, no, they're not gonna. They wouldn't.
Yeah, but I don't know that you'd have to give up a lot of draft compensation to get him. And if he works and he looks the part, you're able to flip him in the offseason for a lot more than you paid to get him. Yeah,
I mean, the fact that they threw up Mason Rudolph's name as a possible guy that could come in there because he's coming on the cheap. It tells you how bad Cooper Rush feels. Yeah, like no one has faith in me at all.
But the thing is, the two best fits that they could get will never be traded to them. Jimmy G, the 49ers will not trade him to a competitor in the NFC. And the other one is Gardner Minshew.
Yeah,
but
no,
Billy's not getting rid of him.
No,
they have their backup in place.
Yeah.
If Hurts misses 4 to 6 weeks,
they
can go 500 with Gardner Minshew. So they're never trading him.
Teddy Bridgewater. I think he'd be perfect.
Teddy Two Gloves?
Yep.
I don't think the Dolphins want to do that because of Tua's injury history. And I know they've got Skylar Thompson there as well. And so they're, if the price was right, but who I think they should go get, and Cleve, I don't know the face they're going to make. The person they should go get is Drew Lock.
Oh my God.
I thought you were going to say Taysom. I was like, okay.
They need to go get Drew Lock, and here's how they need to get Drew Lock. They just need somebody who is out of their mind and will try to throw the ball 50 yards downfield to CeeDee Lamb every play.
That's Drew Lock.
Yes, that is their best case scenario in this situation. Might be what Dak needs to do when he's healthy, right? Because talk about getting the ball to your best players. They didn't get the ball to CeeDee Lamb in their loss to San Francisco in the playoffs last year. They couldn't get the ball to CeeDee Lamb. He didn't touch the ball in the fourth quarter of this game, which they lost 19-3. But at the start of the fourth quarter, they weren't like completely out of it yet. And CeeDee Lamb never touches the ball. Dak was still in the game to start the fourth quarter.
I mean, you got to think about how many reps Cooper had with the first team guys. I always wondered about, you're throwing a quarterback out there in live fire with number ones that he hasn't run a full package with. Like, it's, some guys can do it, and I mean, we've seen it, and then some guys just look like they're out of their element. He looked lost out there.
Yeah, no, he's not good is the issue.
I think that if the Cowboys don't do anything, they're punting on the season, and I just don't think that's an option for Jerry Jones. I just don't.
Nope. Yep. He's gonna do something to get somebody in there. They need to win at least 3 games because they can make the playoffs with 6 losses.
They can make them with 7.
7.
But the issue that they're going to have is that even when Dak comes back, they didn't look good anyways. Like, if Dak had just finished this game, the conversation would just be like, oh my God, are the Cowboys toast? They look so bad. Not are they toast because they're going to not have Dak for 6 weeks. Also, I kind of hope he does only miss 4 weeks because that makes his first game back home against Detroit. And I would just love for the Lions to go in there, put them like 31-10, just squash them and be like, nope, you were trash no matter what, you're done.
Yeah.
Get McCarthy fired. The whole the whole thing. That'd be a cool thing to see. The Bucs, on the other hand, I don't think they look that good either, but that could just be they struggled so much in the red zone.
Yeah.
And then if that works itself out, or it's like bad variance, if they had scored 3 touchdowns instead of 3 more field goals, maybe we're thinking they look great. Scott, what are your thoughts on the Bucs?
It's exactly what you said. I don't think they looked tuned up. I think they're fine. They're like, long term, they're fine.
I thought when I watched Julio get on those routes, I'm like, how old is this guy? This guy looks good. Holy shit. I was like, wow, Yeah,
he's gonna be great until week 5.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, can they sustain over, the season? We'll see.
Yeah, no, I thought he looked fine. So I think it's too early to tell on the Bucs. The offensive line clearly had some issues, especially on the interior for pass protection. Brady was getting hit a lot more than we're used to seeing.
Yep.
So they do have some issues there. And then the final game of the week, we have the Broncos 16, the Seahawks 17. Russ comes back to Seattle, loses the game to the Seahawks. Everything about this game was super frustrating from the Broncos point of view. My first note I have here in all caps is throw the ball to the wide receivers, which I wrote down. Then the very next play,
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, Russell Wilson throws a long pass to Jerry Jeudy for a touchdown. First target for a wide receiver in the game. 62-yard touchdown to Jerry Jeudy. And Clev, I actually was thinking about you when this happened because I think Jerry Jeudy should do the Ocho Cinco and call Russ at 3 a.m. and just be like, I'm open. Because Jerry Jeudy is open. And at the end of the game, when we talk about the very beginning of the show, we talked about how it was 4th and 5, and they needed to go for it, but they tried to kick the field goal instead. The play before that was like 3rd and 18. And Russ dumps it down to Javonte Williams or something, who tries to run for it and gets stopped 5 yards short. Jerry Jeudy is breaking, screaming open in the middle of the field because that's what he does. Mm-hmm. And Russ didn't see him. So, like, Russ screwed that play up. And then also, Cleve, did you see how many times the Bengals, I'm so used to that from years ago, the Broncos fumbled the ball on the goal line?
3, right? They had 3
3 turnovers at the goal line, 2 fumbles, one by Melvin Gordon, and the next series by Javonte Williams. Running into the end zone, fumble the ball.
I mean, of all the places you need ball protection, like, that's the fucking spot.
Yeah. So anyways, my last note I have here is that they paid Russ $265 million to watch some asshole try a 64-yard field goal.
I mean, such bad, like, decision making, and I've always said this, and Dave, I've said this, like, I would love to interview, like, be on an interview when they're giving like a coach scenarios, like, hey, the down and distance is this, what, give me 4 options that we're going with here, like, and we're talking like 2-minute drill, timeouts, 1 minute left, like all those kind of scenarios where like you got to think through it. I've never seen a game on any level. I mean, I've seen Pee Wee coaches fucking call that. And you got Russ. You got an experienced quarterback. We've seen Patrick Mahomes with 13 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Let the guy win a game for you or get you closer for a better kick.
Yeah.
This is why I'm here. And I hate the fact that Russell is such a company man. Like, he covers for him at the presser, like, I believe in. I'm like, no, you didn't. You could say, hey, you know what? I didn't come here to do that. I came here to fucking win games.
Yeah.
That coach has shit on you. Like, you could, be a jerk about him. Like, hey, no, I trust me to get the ball going. Didn't the Pats had that happen with Mac Jones last year?
Yes.
Yeah. Like 65 yard is like 5% chance.
Yeah. The other thing too is that when the coach told Russ that the clock would run down, they had all 3 timeouts. And with about 50 seconds to go. They ran it down to 20 seconds, called the timeout to kick the field goal. Russ could have just called the timeout with 50 seconds left and been like, we're going for it.
Yeah, fuck you.
And then kept the offense on the field. Like, at some point, and Russ is not the personality to do this.
Tom Brady would have done that. Aaron Rodgers tried to.
No, Aaron Rodgers didn't do it 2 years ago in the playoffs when they kicked that field goal.
Yeah.
But I think now he would.
Oh, yeah.
And at some point, this is going to happen. Yeah. Some quarterbacks will be like, no, we're going for it. He's going to throw the kicker off the field, and he's going to be like, I'm deciding what we're going to do here. And, like, you can't do it if Belichick is your coach or if Andy Reid is your coach. But if Nathaniel Hackett is your coach, you can just be like, no. And then when it's the coach's press conference, you just walk out there and just start talking like the coach. This is why I made this decision. This is why we did this. This is why we decided to do that. My associate head coach here disagreed, but I had to overrule him in the walkout.
Yeah, it's bro.
Can you imagine?
Like I said, Russ is such a company guy. Like, I mean, look at the Super Bowl that they lost against the Pats. Like the play could have been hand off to Marshawn, or I'm running this in. I'm going to run this in. The call comes through the helmet. I'm like, are you guys nuts?
Yeah,
we're winning here.
You're mad at me. You gotta break it up. I can't hear you.
Yeah. Be mad at me at the presser, but I'll be covered in confetti in 10 seconds.
Or like when they went, well, it's hard because they go to do the 64-yard field goal. If he makes it, right, everybody's happy you won the game or whatever. Now that's results based, but that's how a lot of people are going to view it.
Though.
Yeah, the process is so bad. Like, what if they went to do that and Russ just like threw off his stuff and ran out like Antonio Brown?
I mean,
didn't quit the team. Just like took off his stuff, ran out the end zone. Like, I cannot believe this.
I mean, anyone that's played on any level, like, you don't want to lose a game like that. Like, it came down. I mean, obviously, today's point earlier, 3 fucking end zone trips come away with nothing, right? Technically, because of no ball security. But then it comes down to you watch the clock expire. 40 seconds. Like, that's like 3 plays. That's 3 plays. And you have 3 timeouts. You have 3 timeouts.
They really did.
Yes.
Did you guys see Peyton Manning losing his mind on TV?
Yes.
He was like,
yeah.
like, bro, because he would have done it. I think he would have done it. Peyton
he probably would just instinctively called the timeout.
Yeah, timeout.
He'd be like, well, obviously we're calling timeout here.
Yep.
Think about what we're going to do on 4th down. Like, I don't think he like they've never been able to run it down. He would have just called it. You
remember McCarthy last year when the ref turned in like, coach, you want to call a timeout here? Like, telling him to call a timeout. You're gonna get fucking fired if you don't call a timeout right here. You want to call a timeout, coach? Because I'm queuing you up for it.
You're being called out here, Cleve. Paul says, I thought black people didn't watch the Manning-cast.
It was on ESPN and they were making fun of it. Yeah, I don't subscribe to it. I can't watch Eli just kind of like look like droopy. He's just like, I'm happy. You know, like I can't do that.
I mean, I can't watch the Manning-cast either, but now so I've got Joe Burrow looks like Macaulay Culkin and Eli Manning looks like droopy. Okay, I'll have to.
When you see the Macaulay Culkin thing I'm talking about, you can't unsee it. I'm telling you. Thank me later.
Okay, we'll do so. That wraps up the game for this past week. Just real quick, I want to touch on some of the interesting games coming up this week. First of all, on Thursday, Cleve, Chargers at Chiefs.
Man, I'm gonna have some banchan for that.
You know what? Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try the same. We'll see here. I'll see if I can talk Megan into getting banchan for the game. And so we got Patriots at Steelers, win for the Steelers. Jets are at the Browns, poor Joe Flacco. Just quickly going through these games here. Commanders are at the Lions. This is a game the Lions are absolutely going to have to win if they're actually going to do anything. One time, Seahawks at 49ers. Come on, Trey Lance. This is it. The Seahawks are terrible. You're at home. It's not going to be a monsoon. I mean, he doesn't need to like look like a Hall of Fame quarterback. I just need him to put up good fantasy numbers and be obviously good enough to keep the job. Right? 220 passing and 2 touchdowns, no picks, or maybe like 1 pick on a tip. another 65 yards and another touchdown on the ground. That's all I'm asking for. Just
That's
put the discussion in. Yeah.
But he can do it. He's capable.
Yep. Let's see here. Cardinals are at the Raiders, and this could be the start of the Kingsbury hot seat. Devontae Adams in this game might get 25 targets and 18 catches. We've got Bengals at the Cowboys, which would have been a really good game.
Well, they're gonna. I mean, they want to beat up on somebody, so they're gonna kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, and then we can. And I'm sorry to say this, Cleve. We continue watching the most overrated defensive back in football, Trayvon Diggs, get abused by good wide receivers. It was Mike Evans this last week. It'll be Jamar Chase or T. Higgins this week. I think Trayvon Diggs is very good, but he is not as good as people are making him out to be because all those interceptions a couple years ago.
Yep. It's risk or reward.
Yep. 2 Monday night games, and it's not even a double header. They're going to overlap. At 7:15, Titans at Bills.
Wow.
Good luck, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then the 8:30 game. So nobody's going to watch the Bills destroy the Titans. The 8:30 games, Justin Jefferson at Jalen Hurts. I mean, the Vikings at the Eagles.
That'll be a very good game.
That's going to be an amazing game.
Yep.
An amazing game to close out.
Why are they doing that? What happened? Something happened schedule wise? Why would you like those two, like those 4 teams? Why would you fucking do that? Like that's so fucking stupid.
You just pure double header it. You do Vikings Eagles at 7:00, and then you do Raiders Cardinals at 10:15.
Yeah. Why would you? Oh, that's so.
Scott, you have any insight into why they did that?
I don't have a clue.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, there we go. So that's the review for week 1. Thank you for everybody who joined us in the chat watching on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast feed, we do this as a YouTube live stream. You can join us on chat, ask us questions. If you look at the show notes below, you will see the link to subscribe to the YouTube page. If you do that, you can be notified for every single time when we go live with the new episode. We, of course, are on the Matty Ice Media Network. Cleve, you still got the shirt on?
Yeah.
All right. Cleve's got the Matty Ice Media merch on. I'm efforting to get mine here.
How do I get one of those? That's awesome.
Yeah, I have Dave's. I'm gonna deliver actually probably tomorrow. I'll talk to Matt getting you out one.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then we have the Matty Ice merch. Of course, go to mattyicemedia.com. All sorts of great podcasts there to find. Matty Ice himself is hosting Drippin' Sports. He has a new co-host whose name escapes me, but I listened to the most recent episode. I really liked it. So I apologize. The co-host name escapes me, but it was really good. They talk a lot of college football on there. I'm sure Nebraska firing their coach for $15 million will make an appearance there. We will be back here next week reviewing the week 2 games. Scott, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I'm good. It was fun.
Cleve?
No, nothing good. It was expected, as you know, we haven't had football in a while, and I think that the lack of having 5 preseason games over 3, some guys, the sync up thing or whatever. So, it wasn't a horrible week of football, but it was some head scratchers and some games you're like, what? So, it's week 1, overreaction stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thanks again, everybody, for listening, for watching. Shout out to 2 listeners. We have a listener in Spain. Nice. So hello to our listener in Spain. Also, we have a listener in England who did not download the most recent episode, which came out the day the Queen died. So I have to assume that listener was the Queen. So,
oh my God.
You've been owned by facts and logic. So, RIP to our most famous listener. Hopefully, we'll get King Charles on board political football. All right, we'll see everybody next week. Peace.
Peace. It's good.